Welcome to Bands That Brew, the revival that everybody has been waiting for. Today, I wanted to introduce the Dead Century, and I'm going to have you guys go down the line and introduce yourselves.
Sure. Austin.
My name's Nick.
I'm John Paul.
I'm Rob.
And the other guy left out of that ensemble is Christopher. Hey.
Not in the band.
You're not in the band?
No.
Christopher is our head brewer. My name is Jeff. We're here to talk about the upcoming Bands That Brew and the release show for Dead Century. These guys are going to play for us on June 7th, and we've got together and decided to put together a beer. And you guys want to just tell us like what kind of beer you like and why we arrived at where we did?
Yeah, so I mean, we arrived where we did after a little bit of deliberation. I think the problem is that we're not too picky. We'd be happy to do anything, and we're just thrilled to be here for the opportunity. So I can't take credit for the idea for the white stout, which is what we did settle on. But we wanted to do something that was a little out of the box, a little funky, and something that was going to be interesting for the folks who run the show here. Something to keep things engaging all around. So we went with white stout, and we're going to call it "Miss Me in the Dark" after our song.
Fantastic. And Miss Me in the Dark, is that off of a current album, a past album? Where does it come from?
Yeah, a little album we put together called "The Well" came out about a year ago. Yeah, no, cool tune, I think. A little dark. A little edgy.
All right, fantastic. So tell us a little bit about how Dead Century formed and how did you guys come together as a band and go from there?
Sure. So Nick and I are brothers. Grew up playing guitar, I guess, and so we've just known each other for as long as we've been alive. So that was a pretty easy connection to make.
You can't kick me out at this point.
And then Rob, we actually met. We were practicing, and we had a drummer who was not going to be able to come to a show. And so we were really desperate because I think I was practicing drums, and so that was not what we wanted. But we were in this space, and Rob had gotten back from a jazz recital, and so he was wearing a tuxedo and holding a snare drum, and he walked in. We said, "Do you play drums?" And he said, "Yes." And then we said, "Do you want to be in a band?" And he said, "Yes." And so that was a pretty easy interview process. And then Austin, I actually went to high school with Austin and moved out to California, so I hadn't seen him in a while. And we were at a friend's wedding out in Wilmer. There was Austin Peterson, who I hadn't seen in 4.5 years or something. And so I approached Austin at the reception and made a very graceful reintroduction and said, "You know, what are you doing up in Minnesota?" He said, "The U." I said, "Perfect. You still play guitar?" He said, "Yes." And then I think he was pretty skeptical, but, you know, we just sent him some great demos, which won him over. And yeah, that's how Austin got in the band, and then I mean that was pretty much it. And
right.
that would have all happened around 2017, I guess, ish, around there. So yeah.
How did you guys come up with the Dead Century name?
Gosh, I wish this were deeper. I was at the time, and I still am, really into a band called TV on the Radio, band out of Brooklyn. It's huge in like the early 2000s. And they have a song where the Dead Century is a lyric pulled from it, a little tune called Dreams off one of their early EPs. Resonated with me as I was getting into music and kind of stuck.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know, one of the things we do here is we try to name a lot of our beers after something musical or
I noticed
sort of
that, yeah.
loosely related or a pun or whatever. Sometimes they're really dorky, sometimes they go over people's heads, and sometimes they resonate. Well, cool. That's actually a really good story. Tell us your roles in the band. Like, what role do each of you guys play?
Yeah. So I play guitar.
I play the less exciting guitar parts, the parts that I can't play. We ship off to Austin. And I also sing, kind of.
Bass and melodica.
Drums and security.
Great. So with your fan base, tell us a little bit about your audience and like who likes to come to your shows, what kind of music is it, what can people expect when they come out here?
Yeah, call it indie rock, alt rock maybe. As for who comes out, I mean, a little bit of everyone, I guess. The whole gamut.
The whole gamut.
Young guys, old guys, gals.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
A lot of dads.
We're
We're a big fan of dads. Tell your dad. Tell your dad to show
your
up.
dad rock status. When you're out doing a show or out seeing a show, what's your go-to beers? And that's okay if they're macro beers. It's fine. What do you like to drink?
I don't think we're too picky. I think it's a little bit of everything. Certainly when you're playing a show, and I've learned this mistake the hard way, you get something really heavy and then you wind up in trouble pretty fast, especially if you're jumping around. That fills up your stomach and then you're in trouble.
So basically you're not going to be able to drink any of your own beer the night of the show.
We'll give it a heroic shot, I think. Yeah.
So this was going to be Bands That Brew. We're now kicking them out because they're drinking all macro beers, but All right, thanks, guys. Thanks for your input.
Thank you.
So, Christopher, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've formulated and how you kind of came to the figuring out the process for that, and let us know what this beer is going to taste like.
Sure. White stout is a pretty tricky style, actually. So it's kind of a mind bender. It's a pale stout, so it's in the light amber range. But we can't use roasted barley or black malt or any of the roasted malts because that would alter the color back into the dark range. So how we achieve what we do is we're using all heritage English malts in the beer. But then after fermentation, we're adding coffee and organic fair trade cocoa nibs to get some of that roasty characteristic. So it should taste like a stout, but it won't necessarily look like one. But nice heavy body, about a 6.5 alcohol, so pretty easy drinking.
It's always nice to listen to a brewer say easy drinking at 6.5% alcohol.
Beautiful.
All right, bands that brew, the Dead Century, opening band to be determined. June 7th on our patio, weather permitting. If not, we'll bring it inside. So the show will go on no matter what. Thank you very much, guys, for coming out and brewing with us today, and look forward to a great show.
Thank you for having us and the
Cheers.
opportunity. Cheers.